up, everybody? Hi. Alrighty. What show is this? The working title is Vibe Check, but we'll see what happens. I might have to change it. There's a D&D property called Vibe Check as well, so. You'll pay me if I do the 6-7 meme? 6-7. There you go. Send me a super chat. I'm not a dude. Just so you know. Just letting you know. So, alrighty. Let's see here. I feel like it's on, I'm of two minds about this, right? On the one hand, I think I should wait until some more people get in here. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't need to wait. Oh, nice. It already got the right microphone. Cool. Yay. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, in that case, I'll just go into it. So, welcome everybody. On tonight's episode of Vibe Check with Pheebs, we've got a possible live debate. I'm going to tell you guys right now that person has not checked back in with the chat. I can't make them come, that sounded dirty. I can't make them come do the debate, so I don't know what happened there, but it's probably not going to happen. For certain, though, we're going to be covering Charlie Kirk, his childhood, his company, his activism, and once we're done with that, we're going to do two pieces of content that you guys paid for. A fast food tier list with all of my favorite fatty restaurants and some terrible, corrupt, no good officers of the law. In addition, we've got two new goals for next week's stream for $100. We're going to cover HELTON and JDUBZ, classic lolcows from the Brett Keane orbit originally, if you're wondering. If you guys get us up to $200 in the next week by Christmas, then we'll be doing badly made food. If reached, these content goals will be made good on next Friday's stream, 12/26/25. So, if that sounds fun to you, if that sounds like something you want to help us get to, then consider super chatting or donating via the Cash App in the little crawler at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on which format you're watching. But with all that being said, I find no reason to, make any further ado about it. Let's get right into the content. And in order to do that, of course, I've got to do one more brief piece of setup. Okay, here we go. And once that loads up, then we can begin discussing the life and times of Charlie Kirk, which I think that it's going to be interesting for two reasons. Number one, a lot of coverage has been done about the man over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, but not a lot of it is featured on what he actually had to say. Not a lot of it is actually featured on the arguments that he made or what he was doing with his life or anything like that. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can change that, through concerted effort. We're going to see how that goes. Oh yeah, I need to plug that back up for it to work. Let me see here. Where's the thingy? There it is. There we go. Oh, sorry. Yay. It's not much, but it's on a light. Okay, cool. Let's see here. So the first thing I'm going to take a look at is, whatever, this I'm sure is going to be, somebody's going to call issue to this, but we're going to take a look at his Wikipedia, because I think it's probably going to be the best way to get a nice coalition of sources for what we're looking for. Why is this not letting me do this? Okay, I guess it is. It's just not showing me the text box. All right, whatever. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to be taking a look at is Charlie Kirk's Wikipedia page, because I think that's going to be a great jumping off point for a lot of other resources to access specific bits of information about his life. So with that being said, now I've got to show you guys that screen, and we can start reading off a little bit of it and figure out where we want to go from there. Yeah. December 20th, Wikipedia still can't be sold. All right, well, sorry, Wikipedia. We're just going to scroll right past this. There's your boy. Man, you guys are fucking persistent these days. God damn. Look at all that. So many ads. I never knew Wikipedia to be so ad heavy. Anyway, there's your boy. Man, his face is abnormally tiny. Okay, it's the Deep Fat Fry Boys that originally pointed this out to me, and I cannot get over it. His face was very small. But leaving that aside, we're going to go over some basic details of his life, because I'll be honest with you guys, I know next to nothing about this motherfucker. I know almost nothing about this dude, and I want to know more, because we've learned a shit ton about how he died and the nature of the goings-on of his life before he died, immediate months before it. We don't actually know much, at least I don't, about where he grew up or anything like that. So we're going to learn about it today. You aren't making fun of dead people? No, actually, I think I'm paying respect to the dead by covering the life and times of someone who existed ultimately in the same political space that I do. Charlie Kirk made his living debating people. I make my living arguing with people on YouTube live chat. There's a common thread there that I recognize and pay somewhat homage to. Alrighty, so let's see here. Charles James Kirk, October 14th, 1993 to September 10th, 2025, was an American right-wing political activist, entrepreneur, and media personality. He co-founded the conservative student organization Turning Point USA, TPUSA, in 2012, and served as its executive director until his assassination in 2025. A key ally of Donald Trump, he became one of the most prominent voices of the MAGA movement within the Republican Party, publishing several books and hosting the Charlie Kirk Show. Okay, so this is basically the footnotes that everybody is familiar with. This is the stuff that I knew before I went into this. I probably could have given you this explanation without even reading it off of Wikipedia, honestly. But here's the parts that start to interest me. Okay, so born and raised in the Chicago suburbs of Arlington Heights and Prospect Heights, Kirk became politically active in high school. He briefly attended college before dropping out to focus on building TPUSA, which expanded into affiliate groups such as Turning Point Action and Turning Point Faith. His activism centered on mobilizing conservative students and promoting Republican causes nationwide. Kirk espoused a range of conservative positions. We're going to get into all of this, but right now, I want to look at his early life. That's what we're going to learn about right now. Okay, so let's look at this first source that it's got here. Alrighty. Oh, fuck, it's the New York Times, though. I don't have a Time subscription. Oh, man. Oh, fuck. Okay. I bet the Chicago Tribune. Well, no, this one's archived, so we can use it anyway. Sweet. I was going to say cool and sweet at the same time, so I almost said queef. That would have been funny. Should have just said queef. Queef. We keep the record straight by preserving government website, news articles, historical data, and more. If you find this archive, everybody's begging, including me. Please send me super chats. Send me Cash App. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. But I was joking about being dismissive of the idea of e-begging, because I feel like it's just kind of how the internet works now. Like, if you're trying to be audience supported, that's how it works. If you're not trying to like entirely rely on giant overpriced advertising and overplaced advertising as well. So before this is from the Chicago Tribune, and it's by John Keelman. Before Charlie Kirk became a conservative star, before he palled around with Kanye West and Donald Trump Jr., before protesters hounded him at a restaurant in a viral video, and before he regularly berated liberals, lefties, and the Democratic Party on Fox News, he was just a kid from Wheeling High School who was mad about the price of cookies. Okay, this is interesting. This is exactly the type of article I was looking for, you guys. Okay, I'm going to take a couple questions from the chat. I'm going to look at that. Gretch Queef, yes. Gretch Queef is the fucking best thing that I've ever heard. They really throttle the views on regular non-vertical streams. Goddamn. Oh yeah, dude. They really throttle views on those. I don't know what it is, but you have to have an established audience to make desktop streaming worth it at this point. Like, even my vertical stream is not doing super great right now. It doesn't exactly look the best, which I have a better layout for this. There we go. There's the layout that I think will probably work a little better. That looks a little bit better anyway. But yeah, anyway, so let's see here. At the start of Kirk's senior year, Wheeling's cafeteria raised the cost of a cookie from a quarter to 50 cents, citing more expensive ingredients. Kirk and some friends called for a boycott. What the fuck? This is such a strange... This almost reads like a PR story. I don't know if I believe this. Together we can show the establishment the power of our generation. He wrote on the page of a 400-member Facebook group he created for the cause. Cookies are the highlight of most school days, only to be doubled in price without our consultation? No! Enough of the manipulation. We must stand together in this fight. Fight the power. The boycott worked. Administrators brought back cheaper cookies, although some students said they were smaller and less tasty than the originals. Oh my god. So he was an austerity hawk starting out in his high school career, and he managed to get worse cookies implemented at his school. Okay. That is political activism at a young age. I'll give him that. Although maybe those people were just salty. Who knows? I'm giving Charlie all this shit, and he's from the grave. He can't even defend himself, right? But who the fuck knows? Maybe them fucking classmates of his were just salty bitches. Oh, look at that. Desi Corvus sent you $10 for my contribution to the goal. Fuck yeah, thank you. Let me fucking put that progress in the fucking crawl. I believe that is up to $20 worth of goal progress. Thank you so much, Desi, and to everybody who's super chatted so far. My Cash App is, like I said, in the channel description, this video description, and on the little crawl. And super chats are obviously super appreciated. Let me see here. Where is the thing? Where is the thing? Oh. There we go. Progress. Alrighty, there we go. Hell yeah. Thank you, Desi. You're so kind. So, together we can show the establishment the power of our generation. He wrote on the page of a 400-member Facebook group he created for the cause. Oh, I already read that, didn't I? Yeah, I already read that. Some of Kirk's former classmates said the episode was more of a prank than serious political action, but it offered early evidence of the traits that would turn Kirk, now 25, into a national phenomenon, a talent for organizing his peers, a facility with social media, and a penchant for making statements so hyperbolic you might wonder if he's serious. The Democrat Party is the party of chaos and destruction, he wrote in a recent tweet. If you give Democrats control of Congress, their gang, Antifa, will come after every single one of us. The left will stop at nothing to destroy our lives, reputations, and families. Yet as Kirk sat in a Chicago hotel ballroom last week, about to address hundreds of fans who had come to hear him praise capitalism and liberty, and denounce socialism and the myth of white privilege, he said his outrage was no act. I never say anything I don't mean, he said. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Kirk is the head of Turning Point USA, a group he founded as a teen to promote free markets and fiscal responsibility among college students. The group says it has more than 500 campus chapters, including 16 in Illinois, and a $10 million budget. That is a fucking intense amount of money for a little political advocacy org that mostly exists online. That is wild. Alrighty. But over the last 2 years, as Kirk has become a high-profile booster of President Donald Trump, his stature has risen far beyond that of a typical nonprofit leader. He has been profiled by Politico, investigated by the New Yorker, and dubbed Kid Trump by the Weekly Standard. That's high praise. No, it's not high praise, but it's like that. I feel like they're going a little far with that one. I'm not a Trump, I'm not a Trump girl, but I have to imagine that Trump people probably don't. Do you guys like that nickname? Let me take the temperature of the chat real quick. This guy looks like Brad Pitt mixed with Tom Hardy. Man, I must look fucking so hot then. Like, you just literally, I look like a combination of the two hottest actors in Hollywood. Thank you. That's like so kind. What happened to my stream earlier? What do you mean happened to it? I ended it to start this one. Well, yeah. Where's the fucking surprise there? Anyway, so, let me see here. The ties between Kirk and Trump have dismayed some of his backers, including conservative talk show host Joe Walsh. The former congressman stepped down as a Turning Point advisor, feeling Kirk had gotten too close to the president. Okay, so I might come back to this article later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Wikipedia for now, but then we are going to put this archive in another tab, because I think that will be useful when we get to his political activism, when we get to that section. But we're still a ways away from that just yet. So right now we're going to keep looking at his early life. I want to know where this kid grew up. His father, let's see. So his father, Robert W. Kirk, is an architect who was involved in the construction of Trump Tower. Interesting. That is so weird. Okay, so there might be something interesting there too. I can't imagine nepotism not playing a role in the lives of people like this, because like rich people are rich as fuck, but their architects are just as rich, if not richer sometimes. I'm sorry. Anyway, his mother, Catherine, is a former trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange who subsequently worked as a mental health counselor. He had one sibling, a younger sister, Mary, who went on to become an art curator in Chicago. This is a rich-ass family. This is a super fucking rich family. This speaks to class and wealth. Kirk described his parents as moderate Republicans. They were active in conservative circles, and his father was a major donor to the Mitt Romney fucking presidential campaign. Man, like just being a Republican will get people to support all kinds of fucking horrible garbage. Just throwing the little R in front of your name can get you so far with some people. Anyway, raised in the Presbyterian Church, Kirk was a member of the Boy Scouts of America and earned the rank of Eagle Scout. He experienced a political awakening in middle school, during which he read books by economist Milton Friedman and became more attracted to the principles of the Republican Party. In 2010, during his junior year at Wheeling High School, that is wild to me. Wild to me, man. 2010. Man, Charlie Kirk was only, let me think here, fucking 7 years older than I am. That is wild. I guess I've never really thought about it until now, because I was in senior year in 2016. So he was in his senior year 5 years before I was in my senior year. That is fucking wild for me to think about. That means me and Charlie Kirk had a very similar high school growing up experience. That's just, I've dated people Charlie Kirk's age, and I guess I just never thought about it until I started doing this little review of his life. Liberals claim they're so peaceful and loving, yet loved when the man got killed. The level of hypocrisy among them is something. I mean, yeah, liberals feel that way. I hope you recognize I'm not a liberal. I was not necessarily celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I didn't cry any salty tears about it, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to claim that I did. Man, that's in such a bad spot, isn't it? I wish it would let me fucking change where the chats go. Anyway, so I didn't celebrate his death. I didn't act like it was the biggest tragedy in the world. I feel like I maintained a pretty even keel about it. Oh no, it definitely happens on the Democratic side as well, 100%. Yeah. Like people thought just making Kamala Harris like really putting out there she's really a Democrat, guys, was going to get her the election, and I think we all pretty much roundly disproved that notion. So, yeah, I mean, you can also get people to accept quite a bit of garbage if you just present yourself as the only alternative to the R. It's really not so much that putting the D on the thing that makes it acceptable to the American public that would vote that way. It's more being adamant that that is the only option for someone who wants some alternative. What do you think about his death? See, this is the thing that gets me is that, like, I have to imagine DWP, you're probably a fan of his, right? So why are you more interested in hearing me talk about his death, which I've been talking about since it happened, whenever somebody asks me about it? Why are you more interested in that than you are me hearing about what he had to say when he was alive? To me, it just says that you don't really care about Charlie Kirk. What you care about is the image that you think that this projects. What you care about is the rhetorical tool that you look at his death as. You have commodified his death. That's what I think about it. I think conservatives have commodified Charlie Kirk's death. They've made it a cheap campaign ploy. Cool, just making sure people don't think you're one. Oh, good catch then. Good catch. Maximo Tebus, always making sure that the correct assumptions are being taken. That's good. I don't care about him. I'm curious about people's take on what happened. Well, at least you're honest about it. There are all kinds of people that are concerned trolling, like they gave the biggest of fucks about Charlie Kirk before he died, when I think a lot of people didn't give a single fuck until he died. At least you're honest about it. When Dems had power, they watched the genocide go out and they funded it. Now it's the same since the new election. It's both sides. Oh, well, you have to understand the genocide against the Palestinian people has been ongoing under a bunch of different fucking candidates. It's been a left and right problem as far as presidential power has gone for a really long time. The Israel lobby is incredibly fucking strong here in America, and we really don't seem like we're altogether all that interested in fixing that or changing it in any way. So, anyway, let's see here. So, in 2010, during his junior year at Wheeling High School, Kirk volunteered for the successful U.S. Senate campaign of Illinois Republican Mark Kirk, no relation. Also, during his junior year, he began listening to the Rush Limbaugh show. Oh my goodness. Okay, so do you guys know who Rush Limbaugh is? Rush Limbaugh is actually from the same fucking area of Missouri that I'm from. Let's go look at Rush Limbaugh. Let's go learn about Rush Limbaugh a little bit. So, Ditto Head? What? Okay. Anyway, where? There he is. This is Rush Limbaugh. Big old fat ass Rush Limbaugh. This man, this man invented right wing media, basically. Not really, but this man invented the modern conservative talk show host. And he's from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I've got family that fucking lives near that area to this day. So, died in Palm Beach, though, motherfucking traitor. Anyway, his resting place, of course, is in St. Louis, Missouri, because he wouldn't dare to be buried in Florida, which is understandable. Honestly, I can't be that bad about him. So yeah, this is part of a series on conservatism in the United States. So this is just a long list of some of the different commentators, but like I would be willing to bet that if we looked at all of these, we would probably not find one with a bigger, more wider area of effect than Limbaugh. Like Bill O'Reilly, I very much doubt it. Like I doubt that he's been doing shit long as Rush Limbaugh did. Let's see. It began during the late 70s and 80s. Let's see. Oh, I guess I was wrong. I guess Bill O'Reilly does predate him. Anyway, so Rush Limbaugh is a dude that he was like incredibly influential in the movement of conservatism in America. Like it says here, Limbaugh became one of the most prominent conservative voices in the United States during the. Can somebody ban the fucking spammer? Are they banned yet? Anyway, Limbaugh became one of the most prominent conservative voices in the United States during the 1990s and hosted a national television show from 92 to 96. He was among the most highly paid figures in American radio history. In 2018, Forbes listed his earnings at $84.5 million. In December 2019, Talkers magazine estimated that Limbaugh's show attracted a cumulative weekly audience of 15.5 million listeners. It was the most listened to radio show in the United States. Limbaugh also wrote 7 books. His first 2, The Way Things Ought to Be and See, I Told You So, made the New York Times bestseller list. Limbaugh garnered controversy from his takes on race, LGBT matters, feminism, sexual consent, and climate change. In 1993, he was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame, and in 1998, the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. During the 2020 State of the Union address, President Donald Trump awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Limbaugh was born on January 12th. We don't have to go through all this shit, but basically he was, I'm not interested in going through his whole fucking thing, but he was born to a very political family. His uncle was a federal judge for the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Missouri. His cousin was a judge in the same court, appointed by George Bush. His grandfather was a Missouri prosecutor, judge, special commissioner, and member of the House of Representatives. Yeah. So, basically a granddaddy of conservatism. And that is one of his biggest influences. I can guarantee you it is. He started listening to Rush Limbaugh at a time when Rush was kind of on the decline. His big fucking, like the peak of his success was in the early 2000s and in the mid 90s. Like the mid 90s, late 90s, and early 2000s, Rush had it. He was, obviously he was big before that because he got the 2 awards in 92 and 93. But he just kept peaking after that. And I would say his peak was really late 90s, early 2000s, at least from what I can tell, based on the amount of cultural references to him. And Charlie Kirk kind of caught him at the ass end of his career if he started listening to him in 2010. But he started listening to him at a time when Charlie Kirk's brain would have been very, very young, very early on. And it's just interesting to think about, right? At least it is to me. His senior year, he initiated a boycott of cookies. Yeah, we already read about that. He also wrote an essay for Breitbart News alleging liberal bias in high school textbooks. It led to his first media appearance on Fox Business at age 17. Holy shit, this is how he got his start. This is how Charlie Kirk got his start. I bet his parents were trying to teach him how to be a conservative commentator from a really young age. I wonder if we can figure out. Damn. That New York Times fucking piece has so much information on it. I wish I had a Times subscription. In 2012, Kirk applied to West Point but was rejected. Although he was accepted that same year to Baylor University in Waco, Texas, he enrolled instead at Harper College, a community college in Palatine, Illinois. Withdrawing after 1 semester, he left Harper to concentrate on his work with Turning Point USA, the political group he co-founded with conservative businessman and mentor Bill Montgomery. Now, here's somebody that I heard about when I was doing some brief research into this dude originally after he died, and this guy is more of a secretive figure. Let's look at Bill Montgomery. He's just a businessman and activist from Lincoln, Nebraska. Like conservative activist. He's the co-founder, and this sentence here is really important. Montgomery became Kirk's mentor and worked behind the scenes during the organization's early formation. He died of complications from COVID-19. So this guy was basically the person who funded the rise of Charlie Kirk. Oh, I'm not even showing you guys. Hold on. All right, here we go. So Bill Montgomery, this is what he looks like. Very ancient looking man. Poor guy. Anyway, he was, like I said, This is the important part. Montgomery became Kirk's mentor and worked behind the scenes during the organization's early formation. So basically, this is the man from whose vagina Charlie Kirk was birthed. So he just fucking grew up in Peoria, Illinois, served in the Air Force Reserve, and spent his working career in marketing of all things. But that explains a lot, doesn't it? You take a guy like Charlie Kirk, who's already got a knack for working with people with a conservative bent, who's already got a knack for making people think, making stupid people really think that conservatism is a better political philosophy than whatever horseshit they've been fed before that. And he had this opportunity to work with this marketing guy who was able to take all that, apply it to the world of marketing, and apply his knowledge to their shared project and create the monster that is TPUSA. So, he was on Turning Point's board and its secretary and treasurer until spring 2019. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? Why would this rich old marketing man want control over the treasury of Turning Point USA? Could it be because it's his money on the line? Let's see. Montgomery met Kirk when the latter was 18 after hearing Kirk speak at a small college. So my theory is this, without having read it yet, my theory is that Charlie Kirk, after he had that Fox News appearance, probably went on to seek a bunch of appearances on college, at like college fucking, you know, like the college debate circuit and college appearances in general. And I don't know that I believe that that was 100% organic. I wish I could find out if there is a detailed write-up that's not in the New York Times, that's not behind a paywall, that talks about what his early childhood was like. So, in 2015, Kirk enrolled part-time at King's College in New York City, taking online classes. He did not receive a college degree during his lifetime, a fact he noted in debates with academics and students. So yeah, Charlie Kirk was just not very good at doing the whole college thing. I can't say that I blame him. It seems like a lot of people don't really do that well in that environment. I don't think I would. So, this is another thing I wanted to take a look at. I think that's enough about Charlie Kirk's, early coming up life. And I'm hoping this might have some more information as to the real history of how Charlie Kirk really got his start. Because this was the vehicle for his success. This was the brand that Charlie Kirk sold the American people. This was the brand that Charlie Kirk used to help further Trump's messaging last year and in 2016 and 2015. Turning Point USA is an American nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative politics in high school, college, and university campuses. It was founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk and Bill Montgomery. We already went over that, but we're going over it again. TPUSA's affiliate groups include Turning Point Endowment, Turning Point Action, and TPUSA Faith. TPUSA has been described as the fastest growing organization of campus chapters in America and one of the most powerful conservative youth groups in the nation. So no, he was not just a debater. This was the vehicle of Kirk's success. This was the reason why people care about him. This was the reason why anybody cared about him. This is the reason why. It's not his debates. It's not what we're about to look at over here. Like we've got another page pulled up that here in a minute we're going to look at. We're going to listen to some Charlie Kirk debates. I'm going to respond in my own way to the arguments that he makes. And I'm going to see how the people that he's debating respond. And we're going to see if we can't poke some holes in the arguments that he gets to. But that's not really what got Charlie Kirk famous. That's not really what he was known for. And that's not really the reason why so many people were hurt by his death. This right here is the reason why. This right here is the reason why people cared. Because he had the fastest youth organization in the fucking in the nation. In 2016, the organization launched Professor Watch List, a website that lists academic staff that, according to TPUSA, discriminate against conservative students and advance leftist propaganda in the classroom. So he ran a doxing website, basically. TPUSA has attempted to influence student government elections in an effort to combat modern liberalism on college and university campuses. In 2021, TPUSA started its School Board Watch List website, which publishes names and photos of school board members who have adopted mask mandates or anti-racist curricula. So basically, like, if you want to know and make sure that the people who run your school are cool, rational people who recognize intelligent thinking as the best way to advance society's interests, then you basically look at Charlie Kirk's website and you make sure that the administrators are on there and you're good. Though aligned with the Christian right, TPUSA has led its operations separate from traditional conservative organizations nationwide. TPUSA hosts several annual conferences, including the Student Action Summit, Young Women's blah, 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 blah. The organization is funded by conservative donors and foundations, including Republican Party politicians. Yeah, so this is the big fucking thing. It's aligned with the Christian right, but it is not a part of the old standby Christian right that Rush Limbaugh was part of. So you see, Charlie Kirk took his mentor, not his mentor, but he took the person he watched and consumed, fucking probably listened to, I guess. I know he had a show, but he was probably listening to his radio show. He took this figure that he listened to for years, and he figured out how to use the existing tools, basically, of conservatism in a completely different way in an independent movement that enabled him to gain a tremendous amount of power and influence within a party that would probably have otherwise just relegated him to a talking head. He probably would have done nothing but the debate circuit. This is the platform that enabled him to become more than just that. I actually think Charlie Kirk would be a good model for leftists to follow in this specific respect. Leftists should be doing this. There needs to be a leftist student organization led by some intelligent educator that's able to make the arguments and get out there and get people on the same fucking page. This needs to be combated not through guns or rifles or fuses or anything else. This needs to be combated specifically with an opposing student organization that seeks to unindoctrinate people, that seeks to depropagandize people away from conservative institutions like this. This is how you get so many people to care about it when your figurehead dies. This is how you get your ideas spread widely online and get them to pour out into the broader world from the internet, from people's cell phones and from their mouths, like an unfettered tap. Bro, my dead name is not Phil. That'd be retarded. Alrighty, so in May 2012, 18-year-old Charlie Kirk gave a speech at Benedictine University's Youth Government Day. Impressed, retired marketing entrepreneur and Tea Party activist Bill Montgomery encouraged Kirk to postpone college and engage full-time in political activism. A month later, the day after Kirk graduated from high school, they launched Turning Point USA, a Section 501c3 nonprofit organization. So basically, Bill Montgomery is the guy who groomed Charlie Kirk into being what he is, being what he was on September 9th, I should say. This is the man, fucking Bill Montgomery, and he was a Tea Party activist, which I didn't even see that on his page. Let's see. He spent his working career, why does it not say that he worked with why does it not say that he worked with the Tea Party on his page? I don't know. I guess I can't back that up right now, so I'm not going to say for sure that that's true. But Montgomery became Kirk's mentor and worked behind the scenes handling the paperwork for the organization. That makes sense. He's a marketing guy, for sure. Montgomery often described himself as the group's co-founder, though it was not an official recognition by the group or Kirk. Ah, interesting. So they didn't want their association to be known. They didn't want their association with Bill Montgomery to be known. And the reason for that makes perfect sense because the Tea Party, by the time this came around, the Tea Party had been pretty widely rejected. It had been pretty much subsumed largely by people just being completely fucking corrupt with all the money and donations and support. And so it had pretty much died. It really wasn't much of a movement. I mean, its ideas got absorbed into the broader Republican Party. It taught the Republicans that they had to change up their rhetoric. But as far as like completely reversing the nature of the party or some shit like that, that never materialized. Anyway, check back in on the chat. Check back in on the chat. All parties are cancerous. I tend to agree. Man, I'm so mad that I fucking read the chat. Why did I do that? Why did I do that to myself? Anyway, so at the 2012 Republican National Convention, Kirk met Foster Friess, a Republican donor, and persuaded him to make a 5-figure donation to the organization. Friess was also on the organization's advisory council, alongside Jenny Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, Mary Russell, president and CEO of the Independent Petroleum Association of America. Okay, so this guy is funded. This guy and his entire political machine was funded and originated by oil billionaires, Tea Party activists, and conservative Christian nationalist politicians. I couldn't have guessed. I couldn't have guessed. This is so cool to confirm, though. It's so cool to know this, that he's completely astroturfed. This entire organization is an astroturf. Basically, it is a bunch of billionaires took this fucking kid and turned him into a giant cash cow to spread their ideas and make them money. That is fucking wild. Never would have known this if I hadn't done this Charlie Kirk retrospective. So yeah, this is all just talking about their success. Interesting. So between July 2016 and June 2017, the organization raised in excess of US $8.2 million. The same year, leaked records found that the group had funneled thousands of dollars into student governments to elect conservatives. Donors include Home Depot founder Bernard Marcus, former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner, Richard Uihlein, and the Donors Trust on behalf of private donors. That is fucking wild. Let's see here. Blexit. What the fuck is Blexit? Oh, okay. Interesting. That's funny. That's funny. Candace Owens has some shitty little advocacy group that, is apparently worth something, but I've never heard of it before in my life. That's funny. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yep. Blexit would be incorporating their message through TPUSA's branding style and corporate structure while retaining Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum in leadership roles. That's fucking funny. So basically, this is the reason for Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk's close relationship, or maybe this is like at least a big part of it. Obviously, this is the assassination. We all know about the assassination. I'm not going to go over that for the upteenth fucking time in my life. So now let's put the old earbud back in, and we are going to watch him. We're going to watch him debating, actually. So, I believe the first one I have is, let's just see what all we've got here. I tell you what, the first one we'll go to is, does this have chapters? It doesn't. I'm just going to go to a random point that looks well replayed. Okay, so the first thing we're going to share is his appearance with Vosh, actually. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Full screen that. And now we can see
untenable.
This. Let's see here.
And we are in an era of unprecedented record profits for CEOs.
All right, let's see what is the last thing that Charlie said. Oh, no. Is the last thing that Charlie said all the way back here?
It's the $300
yeah, it's
bonus.
just him and Tim arguing right now. Ugh. This is what I get for not time-stamping my shit.
It's great. Very generous. Unemployment.
Oh, I guess Charlie is talking, but they're just spending a lot of camera time on Vosh. That's weird.
They still commit crimes. Yeah, but it doesn't always like. Entire article in National Public Radio, not that. Where the question is though, do you then create a set of lack of enforcement to say that we're actually not going to enforce looting, where you had an entire article in National Public Radio?
You know what? I don't want to do this because I feel like it's all going to be kind of out of context a little bit. So I'm going to, let's just fucking play it from the beginning and we'll get to some good points.
You have to have a vaccine passport. You have to have proof. They call it key to NYC. Now, why do I bring up critical race theory? Well, for one, you know the title of this video, we're going to have conversation, a political debate or discussion about this. But there is a question some people have brought up due to the low level of vaccination among the Black community and how that will disproportionately affect people and whether or not this will be truly equitable. But today, the bigger thing we're doing is not just about the news. It's about a conversation with two prominent individuals in politics. We've got Charlie Kirk, who I'm sure most of you know. Do you want to just briefly introduce yourself?
Charlie Kirk, honored to be here. We're gonna have some fun.
Do you describe yourself politically in any way? Like,
I guess you could say I'm on the right.
Conservative?
Yeah, more than not. I'm conservative and love the country.
Right on. Then of course we have Vosh. Join it.
Howdy. Yeah. I'm Vosh. I'm a YouTuber. And I guess I call myself a libertarian socialist.
Dude, that is fucking wild. I love Bosch's fucking response. Charlie Kirk has this like well thought out introduction, you know. Let's go back to that again. Because I love that actually. You can tell Charlie is taking it a lot more seriously than Bosch is, which I like,
due to the low level of vaccination among the Black community and how that will disproportionately affect people and whether or not this will be truly equitable. But today, the bigger thing we're doing is not just about the news. It's about a conversation with two prominent individuals in politics. We've got Charlie Kirk, who I'm sure most of you know. Do you want to just briefly introduce yourself?
Charlie Kirk, honored to be here. We're gonna have some fun.
Do you describe yourself politically in any way? Like,
I guess you could say I'm on the right.
Conservative?
Yeah, more than not. I'm conservative and love the country.
Right on. Then of course we have Vosh. Join it.
Howdy. Yeah. I'm Vosh. I'm a YouTuber. And
hi, I'm Vosh. I love it. His energy is great.
And I guess I call myself a libertarian socialist. I like some parts of the country. I'm a big fan of some
Bye,
parts.
Nikki.
Some other parts I think could use some improvement.
Right on. Now we've got Ian here as per usual.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to be in the chat today watching your super chats. So keep sending them in and I'll be clipping them so that we can get to it at the end of the show.
Yeah, see. Let's move on a little bit.
Officially planning out, but I guess everyone's cool to do a member segment after the show, and we'll find something fun to talk about. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. So make sure you become a member. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends. If you think this conversation is important, I'm sure there are many right-wing individuals like, get him, Charlie, crush Vosh. And there's a lot of left-wing people being like, Vosh is gonna own. And we'll share it with your friends and let's have a good conversation. And I suppose we can start with one of two things. Obviously, I brought up critical race theory, but also the vaccine issue. I'm not sure if you guys have a preference for what you were.
You're talking about the vaccine.
Why don't we talk about what's going on with vaccine passports?
Sure.
We've seen in Sydney, for instance, they issued a lockdown. Or I should say enough people ignored it. They went out in the streets. Mm-hmm. And then this resulted in news articles saying chaos in Sydney.
Why are conservatives so against lockdowns? Can I just ask? Like, okay, if it's about government force, it's like, well, the government shouldn't have to force you to act in your own best interest. So why are conservatives so anti-lockdown? you would say they're not anti-lockdown, they're anti-locking down for a fake pandemic or whatever, which the pandemic was not fake. But setting that aside, isn't it up to different groups of people to do what they want? Like, isn't that the big conservative argument that you shouldn't be able to force a state to behave any specific way because that state should get to decide? But if that state wants to enact a fucking lockdown, then you think that no letting the state choose its own medical policy. None of that now.
People aren't, they're not following the rules. The vaccination rate in Australia is ridiculously low. I think it's 18%, really, really low. Well, then they called in police.
Yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn, that didn't answer the fucking question. I didn't ask you about the who. I asked you, why are conservatives so against lockdowns?
And there were big protests. Now they've actually deployed military. So I'm curious if either of you wants to jump in with your thoughts on mandates. What would happen if they came here, if you're for or against them?
Look, there are elements of mandates that I can agree with. We've already set standards for other things like the MMR vaccine, very basic standard vaccines that we expect everyone to get before they can go to school, travel. And I think for the most part, that's worked. We've eradicated plagues from the world. I think we should be proud of that. With regards to COVID, since this is an ongoing pandemic.
This is exactly the point I was just trying to make, by the way.
We need to focus on approaches that are effective and that don't ostracize or exacerbate tensions. With regard to the Australian situation, it's not something I'm extensively familiar with, but generally speaking, I don't think that cracking down on protests is going to be an effective way to incentivize people to get vaccinated. What's happening in New York might be, but my main issue with it is that I'm not entirely sure how they expect people to still have their vaccination card. I know that there's been some confusion from the beginning as to whether or not you should keep that. I know people have thrown theirs away. They made it too big for wallets. It just felt a little bit haphazardly planned from the forego. So that's unfortunate. Maybe they can find other ways to incentivize it, like, for example, in schools, where they have a direct access to government records, where they wouldn't have to use those little cards. That might be a little bit better. I guess we'll have to see.
Well, I'm not saying you believe this, but some people on the left, I never want to hear about the discussion of voter ID ever again. Because now you can force people to identify their medical history to try to get into a restaurant in New York City. Yeah, look, I'm not getting the vaccine, so I'm part of the 100 million people that are unvaccinated. And it's an
Once again, what does this come from, conservatives? Like, I hear some vague gesturing towards the idea of them generally being unsafe, but I've gotten every vaccination I'm supposed to get. Every vaccination I was ever supposed to get, and they have yet to kill me. So what was this guy so afraid of?
experimental vaccine. The FDA and CDC has said that in January. It's questionably effective. Lindsey Graham just came down with COVID. You had a vessel, a ship in.
So because someone who had gotten the vaccine got COVID, that means the vaccine doesn't work. That's not how vaccines work. Vaccines prevent you from getting the disease in certain cases because they make it harder for your body to react negatively for it because they accustom your body to what that particular virus or bacteria or whatever it is looks like. But the idea that, like, let me just go back here.
And it's an experimental vaccine. The FDA and CDC has said that in January. It's questionably effective. Lindsey Graham just came down with COVID. You had a
So is evidence for it being questionably effective is because someone came down with the disease after getting the vaccine. But that's pretty fucking standard. Plenty of people get the flu after getting the flu vaccine, not immediately after, they just end up getting it. And they don't die from the flu because they got the fucking flu vaccine. So when they did get the disease, their body knew how to fight it off. And in a lot of cases, people's bodies are able to fight them off. Once they have a vaccine, they're able to fight off a lot of these diseases before they ever take hold.
vessel, a ship in the United Kingdom, 100% vaccinated ship that came down with COVID. It's more like a treatment than a vaccine.
There are studies now that say they cause heart problems and cancer. Cite them. Name an author, publication, etc. Everything is vague gesturing. Let me see here. Everything is vague gesturing. It makes me angry. My whole family got it and was fine and healthy. Yeah, I mean, like, vaccines are not dangerous to people. I don't get why people are so scared of them. So you believe the Trump presidency basically pulled off a miracle and that BS vaccine is what? Huh? What are you going on about, bruh? Every fucking there are tons of vaccines that need boosters. What? Oh, I guess the flu shot doesn't work because you need a new flu shot every year. I guess the tetanus shot doesn't work because you need a new tetanus shot every 5 years. I guess the TB shot doesn't work because you need a new TB shot every 5 years. What are you fucking talking about? Zero originality, says the dumb motherfucker in the comments section with a T as their profile picture. Vaccines made Yakubian dumb. Maybe that's the explanation.
Vaccine, I'll leave that conversation to Dr. Brett Weinstein and the people that really understand how that works. But yeah, this is medical apartheid. This is...
Who the fuck is Dr. Brett Weinstein?
This is trying to create a two-tiered system where if you don't make the proper medical decisions, you're not able to go to Broadway shows or go into restaurants.
So this is basically Charlie Kirk trying to co-opt the two-tiered medical system rhetoric of the left by saying, oh, well, the real two tiers of the medical system are the people who got the vaccine and the people who resisted that jab. And it's number one, a false dichotomy, but it's number two, just frankly fucking stupid because it misses the point. The real division in healthcare is not between people who got a vaccine and people who didn't. The real divide in healthcare is between people who have insurance and people who ain't.
Even when the efficacy of this vaccine is questionable at best, we see that in Israel, an 85% vaccinated country that's about to lock down again. And most of the new cases are from vaccinated patients, not unvaccinated patients in Israel. So, sorry, you want to interject him, but yeah. Obviously against mandates, and I think people should be able to make their own medical decisions. I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, I disagree. I think we actually have a story we wrote on timcast.com.
Okay, interesting. Let's see what Tim has to say.
That our view of the lockdowns is that it's alarmism because a new study from the Public Health of England found the Pfizer vaccine is 96% effective after 2 doses at staving off the Delta variant, and AstraZeneca was 92%.
Oof. What were you just saying about vaccine ineffectiveness? I think old Tim got you here. A new study from Public Health England found that the Pfizer vaccine is 96% effective after 2 doses at staving off hospitalization due to the Delta variant. The AstraZeneca vaccine was determined to be 92% effective. So look at that. Oh man, I love it when the commentator I'm watching just helps disprove the reactionary idiots in chat. Oh,
probably
great.
Agree it's alarmism, but it's enough of an alarm for the public health leaders to undermine the argument that the
Brett Weinstein is a former evolutionary biologist guy from Evergreen College who spread a bunch of misinformation about the COVID shot. That's what I was thinking. His name sounded familiar. Hey, Pheebs, loved meeting you at the New Jersey meetup. We sang Salty Paul. Aw, that's so fucking dope. Glad to see you in here, for sure. I avoid getting any shots, TBH, and I have military insurance. I just think getting over it naturally is better for you. I mean, you had to get some shots to get into the military. They don't let you just exempt yourself from shots. Russian-backed loser? I wish. I wish.
vaccine is a solution to what would possibly.
See, this is the beautiful mind of a conservative. You cannot make them happy. You cannot make them happy no matter what you do. You talk shit on Charlie Kirk, they're going to be mad at you. You talk neutrally about Charlie Kirk, they're still going to be mad at you. You talk glowingly about Charlie Kirk, but you look wrong, you're not the right kind of person, they're still going to be mad at you. These are hateful people. And I mean it. They're hateful by nature. Incorrect. I was not obligated to get any shots to join other than the STE shots. What year did you join? because I'm about to verify that. This is a total mischaracterization. Nobody who knows what they're talking about was bringing up effectiveness. It's an mRNA vaccine, which is very different than every other vaccine, than any other mandate. Let's just see if that's true. Let's just look it up. Let's just literally look it up. Is an mRNA vaccine different from every other vaccine? Let's just see. Let's just see what we can read about Myrna vaccines. So I asked Braves AI, is Myrna vaccine, basically I asked it your comment. Yes, Myrna vaccines are different from many traditional vaccines in how they work and are developed, though they share the same goal of training the immune system to recognize and fight pathogens. Traditional vaccines often use weakened or inactivated viruses or purified proteins from the pathogen to trigger an immune response. For example, some vaccines grow the virus in eggs or cell cultures, then weaken or kill it before use, which can be a time-consuming process. In contrast, Myrna vaccines do not contain any live or inactivated virus. Instead, they deliver a piece of genetic instructions, messenger RNA, that encodes for a specific viral protein, such as the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. Once inside cells, this Myrna directs the cell's machinery to produce the protein, which the immune system then recognizes as foreign, prompting an immune response. One major advantage of Myrna vaccines is speed and adaptability. Once the genetic sequence of a virus is known, scientists can design the Myrna sequence on a computer and produce it rapidly in the lab. This allowed the development of COVID-19 Myrna vaccines in record time, with clinical trials beginning just 66 days after the virus's genome was published. The manufacturing process is also more streamlined compared to traditional methods, which rely on biological cultivation. Additionally, Myrna vaccines do not enter the cell nucleus or interact with DNA, so they cannot alter a person's genetic code. Exactly. They don't interact they fucking do not enter the nucleus. They do not interact with DNA. They interact with as far as I know, they interact with fucking mitochondria, because I believe that's where RNA is. But anyway, so the mRNA is naturally degraded by the body within a few days. While Myrna vaccines are classified as genetic-based therapies because they use genetic material, they are not considered gene therapy, which aims to permanently correct genetic deficits by modifying DNA. So, let's just look at a couple articles here. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Do you trust the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia? Probably not. Probably not, because it mislabels something as a misconception about COVID-19. If you're not willing to recommend ivermectin for everything from fucking hemorrhoids to COVID-19, then you're talking crazy leftist bullshit, right, Craig-On Jen? One of the prevailing misconceptions about COVID-19 Myrna vaccines is that they are a form of gene therapy. So is this true? The short answer is no, but let's take a closer look at why. Why do you run? Are you a runner? While there are many people who enjoy running as a form of exercise or for stress relief, I have never been one of them. Indeed, the only time that you're going to see me running is if I'm late for an emergency. Said another way, people run for different reasons. They are trying to accomplish different things. The same can be said about vaccines and gene therapy. Both are medical interventions, but their goals are different. The goal of vaccines is to prevent or lessen the severity of, Charlie, an illness caused by an infectious agent. This includes vaccines that use genetic material like messenger RNA, mRNA, or DNA. On the other hand, the goal of gene therapy is to treat or prevent disease caused by a person's genes. Whereas vaccines are like the people running to stay healthy, gene therapy is like the people running to resolve a situation that they're in. Excuse me. Vaccination is like running to stay healthy. Vaccines protect us against infectious diseases by training our immune system to recognize a particular pathogen so that if we are exposed to it in the future, our immune system is ready. COVID-19 messenger RNA vaccines do this by delivering an RNA-based blueprint for the spike protein on the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Our cells have machinery to read mRNA blueprints and make proteins. In fact, our cells read mRNA blueprints and make proteins that our bodies need to survive every day. Of course, our bodies do not need the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, so what happens then? Two important aspects of this question are important to consider. What happens to the protein once it's made? When the vaccine-delivered mRNA enters the cell, it is treated the same as any other piece of mRNA. The cell reads it and makes copies of the spike protein. The difference between this and other proteins, though, is that once the spike protein is made, our body recognizes that it is not one of the proteins that is regularly present. This causes cells from our immune system to attack it, break it into pieces, and use the pieces to activate the rest of the immune system. By going through this exercise, our body will get rid of the spike protein, but remember it through immunological memory cells created during the exercise. Exactly. Interesting how that works, isn't it? So it literally just explains step by step how it happens. So, how much of the protein is made? Importantly, mRNA also includes a mechanism to ensure that our cells are not overrun with too much of any protein. Think of the I Love Lucy scene where Lucy and Ethel can't keep up on the candy scrapping line, or the candy wrapping line. Why would they use such an outdated fucking metaphor? Anyway, it is the same for our cells. If pieces of whatever that word remained in the cell forever, the cell would continue to produce that protein and quickly be overwhelmed by it. For this reason, strands of mRNA have mechanisms to limit how many times the blueprint can be used before the mRNA is destroyed. One of the main ways this happens is by the presence of poly A tails at the end of mRNA strand. At the end of the mRNA strand, I should say. Just because I talk like a fucking, uneducated piece of shit doesn't mean the writers of this article did. The A stands for adenine, one of the building blocks of mRNA. A series of several adenine molecules line up at the end of the mRNA strand, like a tail. Each time the mRNA blueprint is used to make a protein, one of the adenine molecules is removed. Eventually, the tail gets too short for the mRNA to continue being used, and it is destroyed by the cell. The same process occurs with the mRNA delivered in the vaccine. As a result, the mRNA delivered by the vaccine is gone a few days after vaccination, and once the mRNA blueprint is gone, spike protein can no longer be made. So that is all I'm going to read of that, because I'm getting sleepy reading it. So much to fucking go over, and I don't know why I did things. I don't know why I do things that way. Why did I do it like that? Anyway, so yeah, I hope that addresses all of your concerns about the newness and scariness of the mRNA vaccine. You think it's Bible study time? Are you saying I need to get high again? Mary Eli, what's up, what's up, what's up? Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Anyway, you might crushable. I mean, I feel like most of the people that are in here are gonna stick with me no matter what. So I feel like I could, in theory, I chose not to get the vaccine because it's my right, and I don't trust anyone who wants to force me to take something that was considered experimental at the time. You don't hold to this standard, friend. You don't hold to this standard. There are all kinds of foods that you probably eat that are experimental. You realize that the medical certification for an experimental procedure is a lot more stringent and a lot more complicated than the process for getting some kind of experimental food released on the market or to sell some experimental food to the public. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Is it 420 time, you guys? Is that what you guys are telling me? I don't know. Part of me feels like if I go smoke, I'm gonna fucking fall asleep. Are new flu vaccines not also experimental? That's a good point to bring up as well.
Possibly satisfy the public.
So,
I mean, I was against the lockdowns in the first place. Let me be very clear when there was 1,000 deaths a day, not 334. But sorry, go ahead.
well, a couple of points on this.
Yeah, once again, why? I don't think we're going to get an answer from him, but I would just want to know why. So we'll move on to this. This is best Charlie Kirk debate moments. And this first one is kind of funny because she is like super, it seems like she is like really into him. Yeah, I knew it. I am not sharing this with you guys. I'm such a fucking moron. I'm such a goddamn moron. Just believe our bodies are built to fight off flu, so why do so many unvaccinated people die every year from it?
At the University of Pittsburgh as a social work major, and I'm really passionate about it.
Alrighty.
Oh, my name's Erin. I'm a really big fan, and I'm really excited to see both of you. I'm a little stressed because I feel like I could ask about, gun violence. I could ask about anti-Semitism on campus. But I feel like with an opportunity like this, I would really appreciate some personal advice. I'm here at the University of Pittsburgh as a social work major, and I'm really passionate about it. However, I have found that I'm leaning a little bit more Republican, and I feel like I come at a standstill with that. And I really just want to get your advice.
What does that even mean? What is this fucking empty-headed bimbo even going on about at this point?
Advice moving forward for myself. There's some obvious things I think you can think that would conflict, obviously. I guess that's kind of my question. What advice do you have for me as a Republican aspiring social worker?
What would conflict?
I don't know how to say it properly.
I think I can help. The social work industry is very much about a perspective generally of that people in poverty.
He is trying to figure out some way, without sounding like a complete shit weasel, to say, I get the problem. Social work is about caring about people and giving a fuck what happens to human beings, and conservatism is all about hating people and wanting to destroy their lives. No, I mean, but for real though, he's probably thinking how do I couch this in a way that doesn't make my party sound like a complete monster, just a complete bunch of monsters. Because if he just comes right out and says what he really wants to say, you can almost read it in his eyes. He wants to say, well, that's going to conflict quite a bit because you're going to be doing the exact type of work you're advocating for getting removed. What do you think pays your social worker ass? Not corporations. It's the fucking public good. There is if Walmart could throw every fucking mentally disabled person in a giant ravine, they would do it. Trust me, the corporate world does not want to take care of the mentally ill. The corporate world does not want to take care of the poor. The corporate world doesn't want to take care of anything but its own fucking profit margins. So, Charlie Kirk has no real good answer to this.
Are there permanently and not trying to break people out of poverty into the middle class or higher levels.
Right.
And that's why the Democrat Party and social work are very intertwined.
Right, exactly.
Hold on.
That people in poverty are there. A perspective generally of that people in poverty are there permanently and not trying to break people out of poverty into the middle class or higher levels.
Right.
And that's why the Democrat Party and social work are very intertwined.
See, that is a complete mischaracterization of the intention behind social programs. And I love how he just skips right past it. Like, nobody's going to call him on it. she is way too stupid to call him on it, and she's too much of a fan. She's fucking, like, literally you can see her nipples through her shirt, you know, like she's literally aroused sitting in front of him. So she's not gonna fucking she's not gonna back down. She's not gonna say anything different. She's not gonna make the argument, but like, the entire point of programs like that is to help someone get to a position that allows them to better themselves. And the vast majority of people do, or don't receive enough help for it to be enough for them to get to that next step. 60% of SNAP recipients fucking work. 60%. That 60% of SNAP recipients that work, the vast majority of them, though, can't find a good enough job to get themselves out of poverty. They can't find a good enough job to get themselves out of poverty because they can't find a job that's going to pay enough to make up for and be actually a surplus on top of what they are losing out on once they don't get food stamps anymore. And that's why these social programs need to be expanded. That's why that's why it needs to be made universal. It's one of the many arguments why it needs to be made universal, because if it was universal, there would be no income threshold to worry about. People would be motivated to get better jobs, to get more hours and things like that, because they would know that they're not eating into their income, basically, by trying to increase their income. We punish people for adding labor value to this country right now.
Right, exactly.
They view poverty not as a series of choices, but as a station in life that is immovable, largely. Right. Is that fair to say?
No, it's not fair to say, Charlie. It's not fair to say at all. No, I don't know how the Democrats view shit, because I'm not a Democrat, but I can tell you as a leftist, I don't view poverty as some immovable thing that can never be changed and there's nothing you can do about it, so you just have to support them infinitely. Maybe that is what Democrats are for. What I say is that poverty is a condition that has to exist as long as there's a profit motive for it to exist. And there's always going to be a profit motive for it to exist as long as land is a fucking commodity to be bought, sold, and traded. As long as human needs are commodities to be bought, sold, and traded. Because as long as that's the case, it behooves the owner class to have a class of incredibly poor people to keep everybody terrified. It behooves the ownership class to have this group of really poor people who cannot help but give all their money to corporations, landlords, and consumerist enterprises and things like that. It behooves them. It helps them out immensely. It gives them this giant pool of cheap workers. It gives them this giant pool of killables, basically. Whenever the rich get really mad at each other and they want to send everybody off to die in some war, you've got this giant pool of poor people that are so broke that they'll take anything other than having to take another stroll through their broken down, beat up neighborhood. Do her breasts come bobbling out at some point? I wish they would, but I don't think
that
they
is
do.
fair to say. That's why my personal focus is on the children in underprivileged communities, because I personally feel like they don't choose to be put in that position. But I'm having a little bit of a difficult time empathizing with the older generation of underprivileged, and not in every community, but I don't know how to not sound bad. I know you are great at not sounding bad when you say stuff, but I don't want to say something that'll get me in trouble.
Well, here's one way to look at it. And Charlie,
is that Kash Patel?
Was helpful, actually. The Great Society from Lyndon Johnson. It was a series of policies that were designed to help underprivileged communities.
Right.
They hurt the very people they were supposed to help.
How?
Well, the reality is it created dependence on government. So you have a lot of single mothers, for example, that are paid more money.
That's not true at all. The reason why the Great Society failed is because it didn't address the fundamental. It didn't address the fundamental problems. The reason why Lyndon B. Johnson's well-intentioned and honestly well-structured for what it was, the reason why his reforms didn't last and didn't work out is not because they weren't good, but because they didn't do enough. I guess that they weren't good in that way, but you can't just, like, let's go through some of the Great Society's policies. Let me just look them up real quick. What were some of the Great Society policies. So the Great Society, a series of domestic programs launched by President Lyndon B. Johnson between 1964 and 68, aimed to eliminate poverty, reduce racial injustice, and expand social welfare in the United States. Key policies included landmark civil rights legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited racial segregation in schools, public spaces, and workplaces, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which protected minority voting rights by banning discriminatory practices like literacy tests. The Civil Rights Act of 1968 further extended these protections by outlawing housing discrimination in healthcare. The Social Security Amendments of 1965 established Medicare, providing health insurance for Americans aged 65 and over, and Medicaid, which funded medical costs for low-income individuals. So this guy is arguing, Kash Patel or whoever the fuck that was, is arguing that these policies created government dependence. These policies were a direct answer to private interest, like inability or unwillingness to address major fucking deficits in what was at the time the marketplace. Like I don't like how the fuck do you become dependent on an income-based fucking? I don't understand. Anyway, to combat poverty, the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 created initiatives like the Job Corps, Volunteers in Service to America, and the Head Start program, which offered early childhood education for disadvantaged children. Yeah, sorry about Head Start, guys. We decided that Head Start actually made the community a little bit too uppity, so we can't do that. You guys need to be stupid. We started realizing that, like, black people and intelligence is like a dangerous thing to put together. You know, we started realizing that, like, making black people smarter and better educated is probably going to slowly destroy white nationalism and white supremacy. And so we can't do that. That is what this man that we were just watching is advocating for. This. Getting rid of this. Getting rid of this. To combat poverty, the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 created initiatives like the Job Corps. He wants to get rid of the Job Corps. Volunteers in Service to America wants to get rid of that. The Head Start program. What did we have to eat? I will be real with you, Taylor. I had some McDonald's and a little bit of Mexican. Homemade Mexican. Homemade white lady Mexican. I think I remember that guy from the Republican primaries. Don't remember his name, but he's not Patel. If it's not Patel, then it's what is that dude's name? I don't remember. Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah. Ramaswamy. You know, it's funny. Indians keep trying to get in on the right wing, and I don't know if they understand yet that the right wing is too racist for that. The right wing just started accepting black politicians like 30 years ago. What makes you think they're going to start accepting fucking no. You guys, like, you have half a chance if you go with the Democrats. But the Republicans are not going to elect an Indian American to executive office until after 2050. It'll be another 8 cycles before they do it. So these fuckers need to stop. They need to give up or run with the Democratic Party. Because the Republican Party ain't putting them up. Too racist. That was funny, though. Poor taste, but funny. Can we watch that girl continue to be a lethal sniper? Yes. Let's see.
So you have a lot of single mothers, for example, that are paid more money not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house because of the way the math of these aid programs
What do
work.
you mean?
Well, often the way the math of the aid is calculated is if you have an earning husband in the household, that actually causes you to disqualify for forms of federal aid
Right.
that were designed to help you.
Right.
But actually,
And his answer to this is not make the system better, make it universal, make it so that everyone has access to these programs when they need them. It's not income based. His answer is just destroy the whole program, and whoever gets left out in the cold just gets left out in the cold, man. You know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't care if you were born to a crack mom, shouldn't have been born to a crack mom. Why didn't you think about that in the character creation screen?
Really, the best way to get kids in your own household ahead is in a two-parent household, because if you're raised in a two-parent household, you're less likely to end up in jail, less likely to end up in poverty, more likely to graduate from high school. So one of the ways that, if you're asking for advice, I would say for the people around you, even who might lean left, you can recognize their intentions come from a good place.
Absolutely.
But the policies of their leaders have
See,
actually
her
betrayed
nips
the
are
very
not
people
nearly
they were
as
supposed to
rock
help.
hard now.
And you can let them
Well,
know. 'cause
am I
believe
right
this is
about this?
genuinely
Am I
true, not
saying
just the
something that's
Republican
not
Party.
there?
Hi. Oh, my name's Erin.
Oh
I'm
my
a
God,
big
look
fan,
at her.
I'm really excited
Dude,
to see
I'm
both
so
of you.
right. Look at
I'm a
her.
little stressed because I feel like I
Okay,
could ask
she's
about,
literally,
gun violence. I could ask about anti-Semitism.
dude, she is ready to strip completely buck naked and back it up onto Charlie Kirk. Look at those fuckers. Look at that. And then just fast forward a couple of fucking minutes. Just a couple of minutes. See? You can watch her lose arousal. Let's see if we can watch the nipples deflate. Is this wrong? Well, probably. Let's see if we can watch the nipples deflate. Come on, let's do it.
Hi, my name's Erin. I'm a really fan. I'm really excited to see both of you. I'm a little stressed because I could ask about, gun violence, anti-Semitism on campus. But I'm really about
Okay, the audio sounds really bad. The audio on that was fucking hilarious. Oh, fuck. Okay. Let's watch super horny girl lose her nipple erection. Okay. They're not deflated yet. See, she's still talking to Charlie, so they're not deflated yet. You see? Oh, they're deflating. They're deflating. Oh shit. See? As soon as she started to realize that he's actually a moron, as soon as she started to realize that if you don't catch him in clips, he's not actually that smart, her nipples became way less hard. All right. Well, you're pretty, but we're going to move on to somebody else. We're going to see what...
Here.
Of course it is.
And you have to fight for that.
Yes.
There.
Let's see.
And
Yes. He's debating with someone that's on the more liberal side
Their
of
value
things.
system
Cool.
was one that kept them poor. So yeah, really quick, then I want to get to the next
I'm
question.
just struggling because in all of my social work classes right now, they're talking about all of those things. And
They're wrong.
Dude, Charlie Kirk nipple deflation compilation win. I know, right? Oh my god, man. It's because when you're doom scrolling, it's easier to come across a vertical stream. Barely anyone doom scrolls on their phones. What do you mean? Everybody doom scrolls on their phones. If you ever wonder why the left can't win, listen to this thing talk for a few minutes. The real reason the left can't win is because the left isn't represented by a political party in America.
so what do I do?
I'll
Shut up.
do it. But there's an amazing amount of literature from Thomas Sowell to show, which is not lack of stuff, but is worldview. Thank you.
Those asylum
According to
seekers.
the way that the asylum laws are written, the entire nation of Mexico applies under asylum. Do you think that you have a right to immigrate to America? Is diversity and inclusion really an American ideal?
I knew you
Are
were.
you okay with we're just 5 kids?
Heck yeah.
Him again?
Alondra
Nice to meet
Alvarez. Yeah. So I just had a question because you talk a lot about like protecting and securing our southern borders. But as the granddaughter of immigrants, I think that we get into a lot of complicated disputes with the idea that immigrants are criminals or drug dealers and things like that. So I just want to hear what your opinion is on those expectations or those what do you call it? Those stereotypes that are put on Hispanic communities, Latino communities, and how they change the way people perceive immigration.
Sure. So, thank you for the question. So you said you're the first generation
Yes, I
student
am.
or first generation American?
I'm a first generation student.
Cool, great. Second generation American? Did I hear that right? Or-
Third generation
Cool.
American on my mom's side.
Great.
Second on my dad's.
When your grandparents, then, is that right, came
Yes.
to this country, did they do so through the legal process that was in front of them?
So my father got married to my mother, so he's a legal resident of the United States. She's been here her entire life.
But did she enter legally?
She did. She's born here. Yeah.
Got it.
My grandpa on my dad's side entered in illegally.
Okay. So I'm not here to like insult your grandpa, right? But we must be very clear that the type of immigration that we support is when you follow our rules and you come on our terms, and that you do not break it.
Yeah, except the fact is you guys want to make that harder and harder and harder. This is a bullshit line from conservatives. He's lying to this girl. No! 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 Fuck. He is lying to this girl right now. It is not about just making sure people get in legally. It's about making immigration more difficult. It's about making things harder on immigrants. That's all it's about. I don't give a shit. I'm not a Democrat. Anyway, I am at an impasse, you guys. I will be real with you. I am at an impasse because I am sleepy as shit. And it's way later than I meant it to be by the time I was doing this. And so I am like running out of steam very rapidly. So what I'm thinking is I wouldn't normally do a desktop stream on Saturday, but I'm thinking I'm going to finish this up tomorrow. Oh, I think I'm going to finish this up tomorrow, you guys. It'll just be us in the chat for a minute. Let's just be us in the chat. Yeah, it's super fucking late. I'm super tired. I want to smoke a little bit more before I go to bed. And, you know, I don't think the stream's going to it's not going to suddenly become poppin'. Meanwhile, Trump gets heat for H-1 visas, harder on immigrants. It's called reality, sister. Huh? What do you... I don't even know the contention you're making. I'm sorry. Anyway, good night, everyone. Sleep well. I will, what time do you think the stream will be? I wish I could tell you an answer. But I don't know. I will let you guys know tomorrow, though. Ta-ta for now.